What's up, you flux automator you? Welcome back to another video where I'm going to be talking about this right here, which is the DJI Neo. Now, I do have a variety of different drones. I have the Mini 4 Pro, I got the Mini 5 Pro, I got the Avatar, the Flip, and now I've got the Neo 2. And I gotta say that this is probably the best drone that DJI have created. And when I say best, it's the fact that it's so much fun. It is fun to use. Now, all these other ones are fun, but what you can get away with when you're using this makes the fun just keep on going. Now, this isn't going to be the video where I talk about all the extra specs and talking about all the, buttons and screens and sensors and things like that. This is not the video at all. What I'm going to be doing is going out and testing this thing, put it through its paces, seeing where it fails and seeing where it's good at. Now, I'm just going to highlight that if you haven't seen it on my channel, I did review the Neo 1. And in that video, I initially did the introduction before I went out to fly it. And by the end of the video, I wasn't that impressed. I'm going to do something different in this video. I've already been out and I've been flying this for a whole week. And now I'm doing this introduction. And then you can see how hyped I am to the fact that this is a really good drone. I'm going to put it through its paces. I'm going to be testing its tracking. I'm going to be testing its avoidance. We're going to have a few crashes. I'm going to use the FPV. I'm going to put it through some windy situations. I'm going to be using it while I'm riding my scooter, and I'm going to put it up in the trees just to see how well it does in terms of those branches. Now, there are a few things that this isn't so good at. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to compare it to the Mini 5 Pro and the Flip. Now, one of the main things, as you probably know by now, is the camera. So the camera isn't as great as the others, but how much can you get away with when you're using this? Now, the real focus of this video is to see how the Neo works in unpredicted scenarios. Now, the first thing I'm gonna be showing you about this is the hand gestures. The hand gestures, oh my days, as we say. The hand gestures make this stand out from any other drone that is out there right now. The ease of how you can use this with your hand gestures is superb. So right away, I started off with a simple walk test, and right away, the Neo kept a stable frame, as you can see right now. Every time I stopped and repositioned it with gestures, it responded quickly and without drifting. Now, if you are a solo creator like I am, most of the time, this kind of hands-free reliability matters a lot. So as you can see, it's moving around just a little bit with the wind, and it does change directions. Now, the Neo 2 is just so easy to reposition when you're out there with those hand gestures. I think that is hands down or hands up one of the greatest things about this device. Just enables you to put your drone in the position that you want without having to take out the controller or take out your phone. You can just put it up in the air and you can move it as you want, where you need to position it, and just start filming. So you're never gonna miss out on those shots that you wanted. So, creating that B-roll content is just gonna be way easier with this drone. Okay, so let's get onto the tracking test, and this is going to be versus the Flip. So right away, the Neo 2 is doing what it needs to do and doing what I want it to do, and it's following me seamless. Now, as I'm going to keep walking through this clip, and you're going to see how it maneuvers, it works so great. Doesn't bump into anything, finds the right position and how to get around something using those front sensors, but also those rear sensors are actually working as well, which you'll see later on in the video. So just weaving in and out through these trees, ducking under some of the branches. I didn't place it so high, but as you can see, it stopped and came back down and did a great job. So I'm gonna put it through its paces a little bit more, weaving left and right. And obstacle avoidance is just working seamless. Now, there are a few instances where it does come very close to certain things, but I think over time, DJI will improve that with a software update, and it will be even better than it was before. So in this part, I just put the drone in front of me and just started to jog, and you can see it's picking me up very, very well. It is moving around just a little bit, but if you need to get those specific shots, you can, and it just adds a little bit more texture to your videos. Okay, let's move on to the Flip. Now, the Flip is known for not being that great. I just want to show you the levels and the difference between the two. So in this part, I'm just weaving through the trees again, and you'll see in just a moment how well or not so well the Neo actually does. It does use the same type of obstacle avoidance system, but the Neo is much wider. So you can't really weave in and out like the Neo 2 does. And as you can see right here, it gets stuck, pop out from the side of the tree, and I've got to pop out even more before it even decides to move because it wants to go in a straight line, whereas the Neo 2 will go around things. The Flip just doesn't have that capability. I'm not sure if it's because of the software or if it's just a hardware thing. And at that point, I weaved through, it didn't know what to do, and it just crashed. Let's move on to the force crash test. So what I've done, I've got the drone in front of me and tracking me, and it's moving backwards. This is a great test because it checks the obstacle avoidance of the cameras that are on the back rather than the sensors at the front. And as you can see right now, the drone just went around that tree. It didn't try and stop. It just found another way around to get back to focusing on me. And it did something really impressive. I haven't seen any drone try and do this as yet, even the Mini 5 Pro. Now, one of the great things about using the Neo is it has those prop guards on the top and the bottom. So if it does come close to something, it can just brush past it. But as you can see in this video, the Neo 2 doesn't really brush anything. Its sensors are that good, it keeps it away. And this is at the start of winter when most of the leaves are off the trees and it's mainly branches, which is usually the hardest thing that a drone has to deal with. Well, apart from the wind. So as you can see my face right now, I'm super impressed. This thing is just floating underneath some branches and isn't even trying to lift up and accidentally hit them. It knows where they are and it's staying stable. So when I come back out of here, let's see what happens. It finds a way around and it comes back to me. I gotta say, that is marvelous. Okay, let's move on to the Flip. And this doesn't have any rear avoidance, so really this isn't a fair test, but I brought it up straight to this tree right now because it was focusing on me differently. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move to the side to see if the sensors actually pick up from the side, but they don't. It just crashes. So in this next clip, what I wanted to do is check it with the RC2 controller just to see how the obstacle avoidance works. When using this, it has the obstacle avoidance turned on, and right now I'm just trying to see if I can crash it. So I'm just flying around randomly, see if I can push it into any trees or any leaves. But it's really doing well. It's doing a lot of avoidance, which is what you want. So I haven't been able to crash it in this test at all. Now, as you see right there, I brought it up to the branches. So I actually brought itself down so it didn't have to go through the branches. But right now I'm trying to push it to get into the branches, but it's not having it at all. And here I'm just showing you how I can push it straight up into the sky really quickly and get that shot. Okay, so the next part is when it gets really interesting and way more fun, because I got out there on my Apollo scooter, got my helmet on and everything, got my pads on, obviously, because this thing does rip, I gotta say that. Anyway, let me try not to move off topic. Now, as you can see right now, you can see me recording with the Neo 2, but also I have the Osmo 360 in my backpack so you can see the Neo on screen. You may need to focus really tightly to see where it's moving around. I do zoom in at certain points so you can see that, and you'll see as it moves around, sometimes it can be a little erratic, which can be a little bit dangerous, but from this sample you can see it does really work well. Okay, so it's at the front of me now as I'm about to go around this corner. Okay, it needs to reposition itself. It starts to try and catch up. Okay, and does do a good job. Let's take this next corner now. Another reposition. And now it's trying to catch up. It's speeding up very fast and oops, it crashes. Now in this clip, you can see I really did stress the Neo 2 by putting it in this situation. I didn't fly up high like I might do with my Mini 5 Pro. And I wasn't really caring about what was around me or anything like that. So when it came to those branches, they were really hard for it to see. It was moving really fast, trying to whip back to the front of me to film, and ended up crashing. Now you may have used the Neo, the first initial one, and it was really strong, but now with the Neo 2, they've added these extra bumper guards on here, so it makes it even tougher. Now this fell from about 10 feet, and the only thing that happened to it was a little bit of a grazed mini chip. You couldn't even really see it on the front of this, but it stayed in one position. The gimbal and the camera are fine, and we kept filming. So let's move on to the next section. Okay, now in this clip, what I want to do is add a little bit more stress. So as you can see me right now, I am drifting in and out through the trees. The drone is trying to follow me from behind. It's actually working out exactly what's in front. I'm able to speed off a little bit. Now, one of the stressful things about this test is the fact that I'm actually moving up and down as it's hilly and there are trees. So I'm adding more complication as to how the drone has to calculate moving in that environment. Oh, as you can see, almost crashed there. I've decided to weave past here so the drone doesn't come into contact with people, obviously. Let me go full throttle right here, and I'm doing 40. I could be going up to 70 on this, but I think that might be a little bit too much for the drone. So I'm going to turn around again at this point. And let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's go all the way 40 kilometers an hour. And it's doing very well. It's been able to dodge all the obstacles. Okay, and then when I slow down, it has to put the brakes on. And one of the things that happen with the Neo 2 is the fact that if there is a strong gust of wind or it has to brake dramatically, it will go into an auto shutdown, which means it will start to land, and it will land anywhere. So you've got to be aware of this when you're using it out and about and you don't have a controller and you don't have your phone with you, that you're not going to be able to do anything about it. It's just going to land. If it's over water, if it's on top of a building, if it's in the middle of the road, it's just going to land right there. Now, if you are using the RC2 controller, you may be able to lift it back up, which is a good thing. Not sure what you're going to be able to do with the mobile app. I would advise you test that if you are going to take it into those more tricky environments, just to make sure that your drone doesn't sink, get run over, or end up on the 51st floor. Let's get back on the street, and you can see the Neo is right behind me. At this point, it goes over a car, which I think is great because I didn't want to be paying anybody's bills to fix any windscreens. So it did a real good job there. Okay, so it's moving nicely. I'm going to turn left here. It doesn't know which way I'm going. So now it has to recalculate, and it does it really well. Now, one of the great things about this drone is that it will figure out if it's safe enough to actually reposition. It won't just fly into that position like some of the other drones and then, you know, end up crashing. So taking wide turns right now, you will see the drone is quite a way off from me. So now at this point, it almost crashes into that tree, but actually does a great job of avoiding it. Going down this road, I'm hitting 40 kilometers an hour right now, and the drone is working very well. As I said, if I come to a complete stop and it stops really quickly, it will decide to land. So at this point, I'm taking it slower when I come to the end of my ride. Okay, so right now I'm just taking on a simple path. There aren't too many obstacles in its way. It's moving and recording very well at this point. Now, I did want it right behind me, but what I've found is that sometimes if you move too quickly, once you've positioned it, it thinks that it wants you at the front. So I repositioned it to be at the back, because what I could see, it was trying to find a way of getting to the front of me. Okay, let's take a trip off the track. Again, as I said, there's quite a lot of space out there, so there's not too many obstacles. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put it under a bit more pressure. So let's take it through this area. So there are some small trees and vines in here, as you see. And as I'm weaving through them, the Neo is hitting at some points, but it's doing a remarkable job with most of it. Because it has those propeller guards on it, it's able to brush through some of the branches that it comes across, and it can kind of tell once it has bumped into something that it will readjust. So I'm going in and out under some really thin branches right now, and it's doing a superb job. At this point, what I'm going to try and do is push it so it is actually in front of me when I'm going through this. So I'm trying to guide it through the path. So as I'm going back into the area where there are lots of branches, the Neo decides that it can't get to the front of me. So it's actually decided it's going to go and try to the side. And then when it's struggling at that point, it decides it's just going to go behind me. I guess that makes logical sense to go behind somebody because there's going to be a clearer path, which I think is really good. And it's great how this AI is integrated into the Neo 2. So once again, it's following me. I think at some point it's trying to figure out like how it can get to the front of me. But for now, it's just staying behind, staying safe. I'm not really staying safe at that point because I get caught up on a tree. So it's good to see that the Neo actually ducked under it. Well, I didn't see it. Okay, so now as I make it out into a clearer area, the Neo understands it's in a clearer area with less obstacles. So at that point, it decides now is a safe time to go in front of me. Really good job how the AI is working on this, I have to say. Okay, let's put it under some more stress. Let me push it further back. Let me lift it up in the air a little bit more. And let's walk down this path again. Okay, so the path is nice and clear for me, but there are more obstacles and branches for the Neo 2. Now I wanted to reposition it. As you can see, it was really easy to reposition and keep moving. And there are a lot more obstacles on this side. Now I wanted to be able to capture it on the 360 camera. So you'll see the Neo 2 floating around out there, and it's just hit one of the branches. And it's trying to figure itself out. And it's doing a great job. Any of the other drones would have fallen out of the sky by now. Now, as I get to this point, things open up a little bit more, and now it's starting to struggle. It's getting caught up. It doesn't know how to get its way back. And now there are a lot more branches, and finally gets to a point where it thinks it can't go on any further. And rather than just falling out of the sky and hitting the ground, it's done an automatic landing. And as I've touched it, now it's decided to drop. Now, I don't know how DJI have pulled this off, but it is really great. And I'm hoping to see that in the next drone that they bring out, which is the Avatar 360. because it kind of looks very similar. Okay, so moving on to the next scene, which is where I take some of the tools from the Avata 2 and use them on the Neo. So the Avata 2 comes with the Goggles 3 and the controller. I do have the other controller as well right here, but in this video, I'm just going to be using the joystick. Okay, so I'm going to put it up right now. You can see me, I've got the goggles on and I'm flying around. Now, the great thing about this compared to the Avata 2 is the fact that the Neo 2 can use obstacle avoidance. So when you're flying around in normal, you have obstacle avoidance on. But even with the obstacle avoidance on, it's allowing me to get into those nooks and crannies, and it's not slowing me down or preventing me from going through. So on the screen, it will show you exactly where the obstacles are. If you are way too close, it will turn red. And that does stay on for when you turn on the obstacle avoidance and you're in sport mode. Okay, now I've activated sport mode. I'm going to start flying around. Now, as you can see, the Neo 2 is way more nimble in the fact that now that it speeds up so much quicker, which means you can move direction way faster. But you've got to be aware that now you don't have the obstacle avoidance on, but it does allow you to fly a lot closer to the ground and you can get much closer to other obstacles. As you can see, I'm lifting it up into the air and you'll see it really does climb really quickly. For the size of the drone, this is super. Now, one thing I would change is probably manage the shutter speed a bit better. But as it's an auto, I just wanted to get it out there, test it, not from a video perspective, but more from an obstacle avoidance and tracking point of view. Wow, that's all I can say. This the best device DJI have created to date, and it's so much fun. Okay, in this scene, I'm at the park. I am back on the scooter once again, and today is a very, very windy day. As you can see, the drone is really fighting against the wind right now. So this isn't probably the best time to actually use one of these type of drones. It has a lot of surface area. It's very small. It has smaller motors, so it's gonna find it harder to actually fight against the wind. Now I'm just rolling down here at probably like 20 kilometers an hour, and it's doing okay at this point in time. It does hit a gust of wind at this point, and now it decides to land. This is the thing they need to be aware of with this drone. Okay, I put it up again in the air, still very windy, and I'm just gonna hit the speed right now. I'm probably doing 30 to 40 kilometers, and it's whizzing by very well. It's a lot more unstable in the wind, okay? As you can see, it's moving from side to side. And as I slow down at some point in just a moment, now I'm gonna hit the throttle all the way. Okay, I'm looking for it. And as you'll see right now, the drone will speed up. You can't really see it at this point, but you'll see it start to whip across. Here we go. Okay, so if there was anything in the path, I'm not sure if the Neo 2 would have been able to avoid it. Last shot right here, you can see how really windy it is and how it's back and forth. And so you're not really going to get the best footage when it's in a windy environment. And that goes for most of the mini drones out there. So only when you go to the bigger drones, then you're going to be able to put it in higher wind speeds. So this next clip, I'm gonna let it roll so you can see the comparisons between the Neo 2 and the Flip, just so you can see the differences between how they manage shooting when you're using the phone app and using the quick modes. The Neo 2 is able to move a lot quicker than the Flip. Now, it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. It could be a benefit, or you might want something slower, but you can slow it down in post if you need to. Now the Flip and the Neo do manage light a little bit differently. That's something that I will cover in the future videos, but in this I just wanted to show you how well the modes work compared to each other. Now in these following clips, I want to show you a comparison of the quality of the video that you're going to get from the Neo 2 compared to the Flip, and also compared to the Mini 5 Pro. Now I know the Mini 5 Pro is double the price of the Neo 2, but all depends on what your price range is and what you're trying to achieve. I think the Neo 2 does a lot of things that the Mini 5 Pro doesn't do, which I'll cover in just a moment. But first of all, let's look at the camera quality. So this first one, this is just a shot from above. Okay, so we've got the 3 different cameras right here, the 3 different drones. Then we've got some close-up shots. You can also see the colors are different, but that's something that you can go in and edit. Now in this low light comparison, I'm just walking in a semi-lit environment. Now it does show like it's a lot brighter on the screen than it was in person. This is in a car park. And now I've moved to a darker part of the car park, which for me was very dark. But you can see the Neo doesn't really do that well in the dark. The Flip, you know, just up from that. But then you got the Mini 5 Pro, which even still, you can see like the rest of the scene is well lit. If you're trying to bring up the shadows in the Mini 5 Pro, you probably get a lot of noise with that. You might have started off in a bright environment, but then if you send it off too far and then you try to bring it in with hand gestures, you may be in for a surprise that they don't work. Now, I did test this with gloves on and I tested it without gloves on and I still got the same kind of thing. So that's something to be aware of, because you don't want to lose your drone. Okay, so moving on to the low light comparison. And all I've done, I've put all 3 drones up in the sky at nighttime, so you can see a comparison between all 3 and actually how they look. Now on the smaller screen, you're not really going to notice that much of a difference, but once you pull it into full screen like right now, you'll see that the Mini 5 Pro does a way better job. Let's move on to some daytime shots. And I gotta say, the Neo 2 does do a great job. Now you can use the footage of this and just add a different type of LUT on it, so it doesn't shout out that it is being recorded on a small drone, and you can kind of get away with it. But if you want no cinematic, really high resolution, then you're gonna have to upgrade to the Mini 5 Pro. But just remember, you're not going to be able to be as creative as you can with the Neo 2 when you are in enclosed spaces. Now let's move on to the pros and cons of the Neo 2. So the first pro I'm gonna say is the excellent tracking. It's able to track you very well from many distances. I'm currently working on a video where I'm doing some tracking from a further distance, but what you can see from this video is that it tracks very well. And most of the time, it doesn't force itself into a situation that is dangerous for the drone or anybody else around them. Now, I think that DJI will update the software to make it a lot more reliable and stable, but for right now, I think it does an excellent job. And you just got to be aware of what's around you. You can't just throw these things up in the air and think that DJI are going to manage everything for you. The second thing is the obstacle avoidance. Once again, it works better than any other drone that I've used so far. And the fact that it has propeller guards on it adds that additional level of safety. So even if it does get itself caught up in a situation with some branches, you know, it can flow through the branches a lot better than something like the Mini 5 Pro. Next thing up is the fact that you've got the goggles support. So you've got the Goggles 3 and you've got the Goggles N3 that you can use with it. And it adds that additional layer of fun. And I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again and again and again. Fun, 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 fun. What you can do with this drone is not just get some great footage, but it's also get some great flying time. And it's something that will definitely bring the child out of you, even though the child in me has never left. I guess you're probably the same too. Okay, the fact that this is portable and small, if I put it up next to the Flip, kind of the same kind of size. The Neo 2 is a lot flatter, but this gets really big when you do open it up. Okay, so the Flip has a way bigger footprint. It's just the fact that you can fold it down a lot smaller, but still, this is a great device. The upside to the Flip is that the camera is way more superior in quality compared to the Neo 2. Now, another big plus for me is the fact that I could use this on my scooter and hit 40 kilometers an hour, and the Neo 2 can actually keep up, which I think is crazy. Okay, let's move on to the cons, and one of the cons I've already spoke about already is the fact that the Flip has a better camera than the Neo. Now, next con is something that I highlighted already, is the fact that if it hits a gust of wind, it will do a self land. The next con is something that all the other drones suffer from as well, is the fact that when you put it into sport mode, the obstacle avoidance just doesn't work. Now, I gotta say, one of the good things that's still staying there is the fact that you can visually see the obstacle avoidance. It's just not going to stop you from crashing into something. Now, because this thing is so small and not as powerful as the other drones, it is not going to be able to manage as well in windy conditions. So be aware of that when you're taking it out. You're not always going to be able to fly it, or the footage might be a bit rocky. So in conclusion, right now, as I said, the Neo 2 is fun. It's fun, it's creative, it enables you to get some really good shots. The video from it isn't really bad unless you are in low light environments. But my thoughts on this right now is that the Neo has a great balance of performance, portability, safety, and that number one point I've been speaking about all through the video, fun. So if you're thinking about purchasing one of these, I would say go ahead and purchase it. The Neo 1, forget about it. It's nowhere near as good as this is. And I think DJI have done a great job in coming from a Neo 1 to a Neo 2 and adding so much functionality and usability. So if you're thinking about purchasing one of these, use the link in the description, which helps out the channel so I can buy more stuff like this, to do more reviews for you, to let you know what you should, what you shouldn't buy, what the pros and what the cons are. So thank you for subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.